On today's show, are the Boston Celtics better than everybody else? Why are we not talking about them like a superpower in the NBA? And then, we gotta count it up, where we count all the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including we got some jersey swaps. Today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On NBA your first listen today, wherever you listen, on Apple, Spotify, Castbox, whatever you're listening to. Appreciate each and every one of you for jumping in, being part of the show, being an everydayer, listening every day. Let us know in the comment section on YouTube. Where do you think the Celtics will finish in the season? In the playoffs? Let us know what you think about that. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. And joining me, as always, on a Thursday, host of Locked On Bulls. What you got for me, Pat the Designer?
I heard Joe Biden's talking to Doc Rivers. We're not up 3-1 on anybody, are we? Because that could go really bad.
If you wanted to get some ideas from,
I'm just nervous. Are we up 3-1 on anybody that we know of? Because the conversation with Doc has me a little beshuffled. How
are the polls going for the Democrats?
God, I don't even. Is he up 3-1 on them? I don't know.
Is he up? We'll talk about Joe Biden's meeting with Doc Rivers a little later and count it up. We'll talk about Draymond Green getting into another scuffle for no reason at all. We'll talk about the three incredible dunks from this week, and we'll talk about some more things, and we'll also do some jersey swapping with
Kobe
Gradey
said
Dick.
he got next.
And we'll do that a little bit later and count it up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. But Pat, let's start here today. The Boston Celtics get the win against the Milwaukee Bucks. No Giannis in this one, but no Drew Holiday for the Celtics on their side of it. It got to be a close one. The Celtics had a 21-point lead at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then Bobby Portis had 14 points, 7 boards in the fourth quarter. Damian Lillard had 11 points in the fourth quarter, and they cut it pretty close towards the end. It ended up only being a 3-point game. I think Damian Lillard had to cover at the very end there. I think he hit that. I think he had that 3 to cover. Yeah. But the Celtics get another win. And what did you see from the Celtics in this one?
I mean, the same thing that we've seen the entire time this season, right? For most of the game, I should say. A team that has a net rating of 11 plus. Just dominant on both ends, a absolute offensive barrage. They got out to a 20-point lead early, and it kind of just kept getting closer and then growing back into a 20-point lead. I thought that Jayson Tatum really took charge at certain points in this game. And listen, the Celtics are a monster of a team, but not for nothing, the fact that Milwaukee was able to fight back. I think Milwaukee kind of knew what this, not to say what this specific game means, but what their thought process around Milwaukee is as far as a championship level team this season. And I think they took it a little bit personally, especially Bobby Portis. Listen, he always plays with a chip on his shoulder. And I think that's why you saw the fourth quarter that we end up seeing, where he ends up absolutely going ballistic. That back to the basket on the right side, backing down, turnaround, fadeaway. Didn't matter who you put on him. That was pretty automatic tonight. But the Celtics still being able to go out there and close the deal. And I think for the first time, right, when you kind of see how this game ended up finishing out, you had to lock it down defensively, because offensively they couldn't get anything going. Only 21 points in that fourth quarter as a whole. Jayson Tatum could not shoot the basketball a lick in that fourth quarter, even though he had played really well to that point, but got to the free throw line a ton. Jaylen Brown not able to get anything going. Derek White not able to get anything going. You had to have those moments at the end of the game where the defense shined. And you saw that realistically, and you saw a couple boneheaded plays by Milwaukee too. But for the most part, I thought the defense shined at the end of that game, and that's why the Boston Celtics are a real threat, I should say, to not only be an NBA champion finally this season, but maybe to breeze through this Eastern Conference playoffs a lot easier than a lot of us thought.
Yeah, this team right now is 6.5 games ahead of everyone in the NBA. I mean, we do not talk about this Celtics team like a team that is that far ahead of everybody else. They're 11 games over the Bucks right now in their conference.
It's ridiculous.
Here are the teams over the last, or since 2003, that have been at least 10 games ahead of every team in their conference. The 2015 Warriors that won 67 games and won the title. The 2013 Miami Heat, that's LeBron's third season there, 66-16 that season. They were 12 games over the Knicks. They won the title. The 2009 Lakers were 65-17. That was the Kobe and Powell. They end up winning the title. The 2006 Detroit Pistons were 64-18. They were 12 games over Miami. Those are the only teams that have been over 10 games over. Like, this is one of those teams like those that we've talked about in the past, but we're not talking about them like they are one of those great teams. And we're like, oh man, the Warriors on their come up. Oh, LeBron with the Heat. Oh, the Lakers with Kobe. Oh, Detroit is, killing everybody this season. And it just seems like this Celtics team is just kind of like coasting along, doing their thing. And it feels like we're all kind of in the waiting pattern of, all right, well, show it to me in a playoff series. Like just don't fail in the playoffs again. Or like, it just seems like it's one of those, we're in a waiting pattern, almost like the other team that, like the last team that won 65 games or more was the 2018 Houston Rockets. And I feel like we're comparing them to that Houston Rockets, or at least treating them like that Houston Rockets team. All right, this is cool. You guys are having a great season, but
here's why though. And I think this is the caveat that you do have to put with Boston. A lot of health has to be had for them to go out there and win, because realistically speaking, think about the bench production that you got tonight. Now you look at the Milwaukee Bucks on the other side, right? They were able to play a lot of guys. Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, Patrick Beverley, Danilo Gallinari getting significant minutes. Now, not playing great, but getting some significant minutes at 18 minutes in this game. When you look over to me at the Boston Celtics side, who's the guy that's going to snap off? Today, you got to pop out of Peyton Pritchard. Let's be real. Peyton Pritchard doing what he did early on.
One for us.
What for us? Is this an SNL skit? Is this the SNL skit when they're on the news?
Is it the Chappelle with the draft?
Yeah. Oh, the restaurant. Goodbye, fried rice. Hello, fried chicken. Can you say that?
One for us
in 2024? I don't know. But no, the fact that Peyton Pritchard ends up going off the way that he did, 7-4-11 from the field, 5 for 8 from the 3-point line, that's what helps you build this league. Who's going to be that consistent other guy? Because I'll tell you what, it hasn't been Peyton Pritchard. Not to say that he's played bad this season, but let's not pretend like he's been a consistent, I'm going to give you 19 points off the bench. He's been a 7-8 points a game per night kind of guy, and that's fine, but you don't have a lot of guys that are going to give you that production. That's why a lot of people are concerned with this Boston team, because can you make the NBA Finals with just the starting lineup being this when you have to go through 7-game series?
Yes, they can. I think the answer is yes. I'm not worried about that, because they didn't have Drew Holiday in this game, and so that he adds a little bit to the depth there. They have a top 6 that can be matched by no one. No one in the entire NBA can match their top 6 when they're working. They do seem to struggle with shooting bigs a little bit here and there. Like Bobby Portis had a ton of jumpers, and you've got to give something up eventually. Not every, like in 2024 in the NBA, you just can't defend every single thing. And so I wish Embiid would have been healthy. I wish we could have seen that in the playoffs, but don't know how much I can trust Joel Embiid in the playoffs either. The Celtics, though, are 6.5 games.
Talking to him?
They're 6.5 games ahead of everyone in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Like the next best team. And these are the teams since 2003 that have been over 6 games better than number 2 in the NBA. The 2022 Phoenix Suns. Do you remember what happened to them?
2022. Oh, they got beat by the old, I know what happened to them. They got beat by the old Dallas Mavericks. I had to go. It's so weird. I can pull stuff from 2005 like that. 2022, a couple years ago. Wait a minute. What playoffs was that?
Yeah, they lost. They end up losing in the second round of the Mavericks. 2015 Warriors were 7 games ahead of everybody in the NBA. They won the title. 2008 Celtics, they were 7 games ahead of everybody in the NBA. They won the title. So 2 of the last 3 that have been at least over 6 games ahead of everybody in the NBA have won the title. So this is the type of team that we're talking about. And man, the Boston Celtics, they just continue to roll. They're on a 65 win pace right now. And that hasn't happened since 2018 either. They're very good. And we'll continue to be in our waiting pattern. Like you said, right? Like we're not declaring them, they're as good as these teams in the past, but we're still in this waiting pattern of, All right, what are you going to do in the playoffs then?
And I think that '08 Boston team is a very interesting one to look at because of how the Eastern Conference playoffs could play out. If Miami ends up being possibly the 8th seed this year, right? If you end up playing Philly or the Bulls, I think you don't worry about it. But remember, like that '08 Boston team almost didn't happen if Derrick Rose is able to close that game 7 out with a win. Like that season almost doesn't happen if the Bulls end up winning that first round series and upsetting the best team in the Eastern Conference. Do we see that from Miami if they end up going in as an 8th seed?
I think you're thinking of a different team, but the Cavs went 7 games in the second round with this Boston team in 2008. And so, yeah,
wasn't that the year the Bulls in Boston went in the first round to 7?
That was 2009.
2009. Okay, my bad. I missed it on that one.
Yeah. The year before that, though, the 2008 one, they won 7 games with LeBron's Cavs in that, and so they almost lost in that one too. So, and you never know what can happen. Like anything could happen in the playoffs. So we're still in a waiting pattern. But coming up, let's play Count It Up, where we count all the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, and we got a lot today. We got a lot today, so we're extending it to 2. We'll talk about Draymond. Can he just get out of his own way? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Nissan. Nissan has you covered for all kinds of adventure that you can take this summer, spring, wherever you are. Depends on how the weather is, I guess, in the area that you're in. Are you that kind of driver that likes to take things a little bit further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to that next level. Talking about the 2024 Nissan Rogue. It's perfect for city drives, great escapes. It's got that Google built-in assistant. It's always updating for you to get almost anything done. It has the Google Assistant, Google Maps, Google Play Store right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Also, check out the 2024 Nissan Armada. It will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further with the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Armada, or the Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Again, that's NissanUSA.com. Also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds that you can take to the bank, and don't let your interpreter anywhere near it. Go check out FanDuel. Say goodbye to busted brackets, because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tournament. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your $5 bet wins. So all you have to do is put down $5 on any tournament game. And if you win that one, then you get $200 to put on the rest of the tournament. So go check it out. Take advantage of it. See what's available for you. They've got the Parlay Hub as well, where you can check out all kinds of different things. They've got stuff with the Dodgers. They've got stuff with the tournament coming, all kinds of stuff. Again, visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being an everyday or listening every day. We have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day. Every week, we go through the NBA and either the night or the week and talk about the most interesting, fun things that happen. And usually we save it till the end. And this week, we just had too much. So it's time.
Big chicken, baby. Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up, count it up, count it up, count it up.
The Golden State Warriors get a win against the Memphis Grizzlies, who are, as always, very shorthanded. But on the way to that win, Draymond Green got into another scuffle. Taylor Jenkins, the coach of the Grizzlies, was talking to a ref. Draymond Green comes walking over there and has to be weird and get in the huddle and try to hear what they're saying. Desmond Bane comes over and tries to slide Draymond over to the side to stand next to his coach. Draymond grabs him by both of his wrists and just kind of like shoves him out of the way. And then, Desmond Bane kind of comes back at him. Draymond Green and him, there's a little bit of pushing and shoving. Taylor Jenkins falls down, hurts his knee, and John Morant has to come over and help him back to the bench. So that scuffle happens with Draymond Green. Draymond Green is led back to the bench. And then on a different play, Draymond Green tries to contest a shot from Santi Aldama. Santi Aldama, a little bit of a shove there afterwards. Nothing egregious or anything. and Draymond Green grabs Santi Aldama by the collar of his jersey and holds him there. The Warriors announcer said that Aldama was trying to bait Draymond into something there by just staring at him. And my question is,
Count it up.
why can't Draymond just get out of his own way? Why does this keep happening?
I mean, listen, I think we've seen growth. There was no choking. There was no kicking. Like, this is just a basketball kerfuffle. Right? Listen, he's got to.
You think he's grown? You think he's shown growth?
No,
you think
no,
BetterHelp has worked for him?
Here's the thing. BetterHelp's definitely working. No, here's the thing, right? Draymond's not going to change who he is. He needs to change where the lines are, though. And I think that we have seen a change in where the lines are, at least through the few games that he's been in different scuffles. He's still going to be the tough guy. He's still going to be the guy that's going to get in your face. He's still going to be the guy that's going to get so much leeway when he's yelling at referees in their face.
One foul in this game.
Yeah, I mean, like he's still that same guy, but it's about where are the boundaries, where are the lines? And I mean, listen, if the lines are you grab Desmond Bane by the wrist and you grab Santi Aldama's jersey because he's giving you the death stare, which I'm not gonna lie, I love Aldama just being like, listen, old man, get out of my way. Like, what are you doing right now?
He literally just stops and just looks at him and just stands still and doesn't move at all.
The stare to me screamed, aren't you still trying to get LeBron on your podcast? Like, what are you doing on the court right now? Like, that's what it screamed to me.
Yeah, focus on your guest emails.
Yeah, I mean, like, have you responded in your spam folder yet? I think that I know it sounds goofy to say, but like, that's who Draymond's gonna be. He's gonna finish his career as that guy.
It is. He's never going to change. That part is never going to change. He's always going to get into it with somebody, right? He may not take it all the way and do the full-on like headlock or the, kick right to the groin. Like, he's not going to do that anymore, I hope, but he may have shown growth. I think you could be right.
I'm not mad. Listen, I don't mind a tough guy. I think the NBA needs it. I don't mind the guy that's like, you're not going to sit here and push us around or create a situation. I'm fine with that kind of player. You just can't be like, I'm a tough guy. I heard he said your mama. Yeah, I mean, like, you can't throw the punch or choke the guy out, like, unless the moment warrants it. But like, I'm fine with
that's the part.
That's
the part to me. That's the part to me. Do the moments actually warrant his response to all these things? Like, was the Santi Aldama thing? Is that? Or was the Desmond Bane kind of like sliding him out of the way to stand next to his coach? Like, it just seems like everything he responds to is way over the top. And like, okay, be a tough guy, but like in a moment that requires it and not like a moment that's just like mundane.
I don't know what was said on the court, what must have been doing. Yeah, I mean, like what could
he have said?
Listen, we always see the action, right? We always see the kerfuffle that pops up. But my question is always, what led to that? Because right, like Tim Duncan,
right.
Like his
everyone else, it's not Draymond.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like Tim Duncan would have those moments where like the Spurs would get into it with people, and he'd be like, "Well, where'd the fight come from? Like, who got mad?" And now we're hearing all these stories about Tim just the whole game, just going, almost got you. Watch yourself now. Don't do that. Like, that's gonna piss me off after you just dropped 30 in 3 quarters. You know what I mean?
Speaking of the third quarter. The LA Clippers in the third quarter. LA Clippers get a win against the Portland Trailblazers. That's par for the course. Par for the course for the Portland Trailblazers. Not par for the course for the Clippers. They've been on a downturn. But in the third quarter, with 4 minutes left in the game, James Harden drives down the lane, kicks over to Kawhi Leonard in the left corner, and then as Kawhi Leonard is attempting a three, James Harden runs out with an outstretched hand and closes out on him. My question is,
count it up.
Did Harden have Kawhi on Prize Picks for less than the amount of threes that he hit?
Listen. Here's my thing. Nothing's easy. Yeah,
he had one.
Nothing.
Kawhi hit 1 3,
easy.
and I think James Harden was like, "All right, he's got to have less than 2 threes in this game."
James Harden said, "We're not doing nothing easy. If they're not going to close out on you, I'm going to close out on you." And I'm not going to lie to you. And I think a lot of people are going to say it's just a brain fart moment. I think the Clippers just got to a point where they were practicing in the middle of the game, and they were like, "If he's not going to close out on you, I will, bro. Like, we got to try and get some kind of work in on this."
At what point is the action? Like, what point is the muscle memory ever? I make a pass and then I close out. Right? Like, there's no, like, that's such totally different actions in basketball.
Practice. Like,
where you make a pass and close out immediately?
listen, when you're just working on something specific between a couple of guys.
Think Harden was working on closeouts?
Maybe it's just James Harden's working on closing out, right? That was something he was working on in practice. He said, I might
closing out. Hey,
in here.
Closing out what? A tab?
Hey, listen, sometimes you got to close out the back room. You know what I'm saying? Shout out James.
Go look up the clip because it is hilarious. I retweeted it at Nick Van Exit. You can go check it out. You can find it anywhere, basically. Tomer, I think, was the one that tweeted it out from, covers the Clippers. Insane. Makes no sense.
No, none at all. I tried to give some logic to it.
No, it doesn't. It makes no sense.
I tried.
I don't know how it happened. Coming up, Doc Rivers reportedly met with Joe Biden. What kind of knowledge did Joe get from Doc Rivers? And we've got to swap jerseys with Gradey Dick. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. So if you need some help, just like Draymond Green did, go check out BetterHelp, because everybody has something in their life that you need to talk through, you need to work through. You've got that thing where you're laying in bed, looking up at the ceiling, and just either questions are running through your mind, or that one thing that is just like, feels like it's hitting you over the head over and over and over and over and over. You need to talk through something. You need to talk through that thing with somebody, and especially somebody that can be an unbiased observer, that can know you, but also doesn't have a dog in the fight. And everybody needs therapy to talk through something with. And that's something I definitely believe, and I follow through myself. I've used BetterHelp in the past. I still attend therapy. Therapy can be different for everybody. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team and an athlete getting into a scuffle every night. It's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible, suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Back here on Locked On NBA, we're still counting it up.
Oh, yeah.
We're still counting it up. And since it's the third segment, you may have skipped to this part, so I'll give you the music again.
Big chicken, baby. Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
According to Politico, a statement I never thought I would say on a Locked On NBA podcast. According to Politico, President Joe Biden met privately last week with Milwaukee Bucks owner Wes Edens and Coach Doc Rivers. My question is,
Count it up.
what knowledge is Doc Rivers giving to Joe Biden?
Joe, listen, Joe. I'm just saying, if you're up 3-1 on Trump, you got to close it out, right? You got to be closing out in the corner. You can't. It's not Kamala's fault. It's not Kamala's fault. You got to be closing out.
Listen, you've got this job right now. You like it. Maybe there's another one. Become the consultant, Be the consultant for that job, and then you become that.
I have no idea what Doc Rivers could be talking with Joe Biden about. I love the fact
it's just a hilarious
this is how the story was framed, because it's like he met with the billionaire owner, which totally makes sense. A president meeting with a billionaire, and then it's like, and Doc Rivers was there, and
Coach Doc Rivers.
Yeah, and in my mind, I'm just like, is Doc Rivers just walking up in this situation? Joe, love to meet you, Joe. Love everything you're bringing. Love what you're doing for the country. I gotta ask you, Joe, are we up 3-1 on Russia? What's going on with Russia? Are we up 3-1?
Now, Doc Rivers did endorse Joe Biden back in 2020, along with Steve Kerr. There was a whole thing where they did it together. But the Politico story, there's a hilarious sentence in the Politico story where it talks about the owner of the Warriors, a businessman and investor worth an estimated $4.1 billion, according to Forbes, blah, 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 talks about all these other things. And then it says Rivers, 62, is not a billionaire.
What was the shade?
Like, why is Doc Rivers catching strays in the Politico
that shot
article?
There? I mean, listen.
He's not a billionaire. Also, do you know that? They did the journalism?
I don't care if Doc Rivers is a billionaire. He's still very, very rich.
This week, there were 3 incredible dunks. Anthony Edwards over John Collins, the dunk heard around the world. Jalen Johnson with the nut shot over Austin Reeves.
Hey, yo, is that what we're calling it?
I
don't like that.
Okay, Jalen Johnson, no one had a view like you over Austin Rivers.
Okay, better.
And then Zion Williamson, who dunked over the entire paint with that insane alley-oop. My question is, which dunk this week would break the brains of someone from 1950 more? We've got 1950, George Mikan with the Mikan drill. If you went back in time and were like, all right, watch one of these dunks, which one is breaking the brains of basketball fans in 1950 the most? Do we have to go later than 1950 for reasons?
No. This is easy. Yeah, well, you didn't. So now you've set me up on a tee. It's easy. It is
Did not think about that.
It is absolutely Austin Reeves getting dunked on, because there's no way in 1950 they are gonna let a white man go down like that, bro. Dunking was banned for a reason, brother. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely Austin Reeves. Just nuts to the face of a white guy in 1950. He'd have been lucky to make it out of LA alive. It would have turned into the Boston Lakers. Yeah, you set yourself up for that one.
The Anthony Edwards one is the answer, though, because, oh my God, he got so high on that.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You said 1950.
I did.
1950, there would have been riots in the streets.
I just picked like one of the first years.
Bad year to pick, brother. Bad year to pick, Nick. Listen, 1950. We would have had to have Dr. King march in LA years later.
Gradey Dick.
What a transition.
Gradey Dick and Anthony Black traded jerseys this week and set themselves up in a way that they had the internet ablaze this week. Just absolutely everyone was all over this. Nas Little today tweeted, "Why does everyone keep asking me to swap jerseys with Gradey Dick?" So my question is, who else could trade jerseys with Gradey Dick this week? Well, I've got a list.
Well, first things first, I got to say this before you get your list out there. The picture that was tweeted out of Anthony Black and Gradey Dick is exactly why they would have banned dunking in the 1950s for Austin Reeves. That's exactly why dunking in the 50s would have been banned. If you want to know what I'm talking about, look at the picture.
Here are players that could trade jerseys with Gradey Dick. Tell me if you're for it or against it.
All right.
Kobe White.
A little bit smaller, but it'll be a good picture.
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
It's a long list.
It's a long list. Hey, yo.
Draymond Green.
That's sickly. You got to get that checked out.
I don't know. Cam Reddish. Speaking of sickly.
Ooh, that's Magic Johnson in the 80s.
Here's one that I've not seen anyone mention. Dariq Whitehead.
Ooh, just the head though.
Okay. And then now we got some adjectives. We got some adjective last names.
All right.
Derek Lively.
I mean, listen, you can't go wrong there. Yeah, you want it to be that way.
Kevon Looney.
That sounds a little. I'm not gonna lie. No, let's not do that one. There's a joke there that I'm not even willing to make on Locked On.
Shaden Sharp.
I mean, whatever she's into, I guess.
Hey, whoa! The innuendo. We have broken the plan on the innuendo. Marcus Smart. That's like Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I'm not in on that one. It's like Oppenheimer. Okay. All right. I'm not mad at it.
Real NBA player, Andrew Funk.
Ooh, yeah, he plays for the Bulls. That's not Neil Funk's son. And what a tough one. That's a tough jersey swap there.
Getting festive, Drew Holiday.
I mean, we've all given it, right? No. You've never given what? No.
My low-key favorite one. Ricky Council.
That sounds more legal than anything. I'm not gonna lie to you. That sounds like a detective in the 50s. Council.
A group of them that make decisions together.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's a little. Wow, when you put it that way, that's a whole different I was going detective in the 50s. Yet again, the 1950s.
Oh no,
but,
I was going counsel second.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Matthew Hurt.
I mean, Dennis Rodman, right?
Kevin Love.
Wait till you're married.
Christian Wood.
Is that a double? Never mind.
Speaking of double, LaMelo Ball. Is that two? That's two on the nose.
Does that mean there's more of one than the other? Like, is there more LaMelo than there is Gradey? Is there? Yeah, I mean, some people have that problem.
My next favorite one, PJ Tucker.
Sometimes you're a grower, not a shower. You know what I mean? Can any of this may see the light of day? Am I ever going to be allowed to do this show again?
I haven't said anything. Chimezi Metu. I mean Metu.
I was gonna say, hey, yo, hey, yeah, listen, that joke is too dark. There's a Harvey Weinstein joke in there, and you have to stop yourself,
That's
sir.
no, that's where we stop.
That's the lie. That's the
Andrew Nemhard. Yeah, that's good.
easy. That was easy.
The layup, Colin Sexton.
Yeah. I mean, you got to, right?
Just by association.
Yeah.
James Harden.
I mean, I would assume that's what he's doing in the strip club.
Which one's better, Harden or Jaden Hardy?
I'm gonna go Jaden Hardy because I feel like that shows like that. Not only is there some pizzazz behind it,
An actual
but
adjective.
like he's actually going for it. Yeah, I mean, like it's
The
like
one
Jalen
from-
Green and Drea.
From his own team that was actually better than Anthony Blackwood. Jalen Suggs.
I mean, yeah, like that's a tough one because it's like, who are you implying that towards? Yeah, I mean, whatever you're into.
Jonathan Kuminga.
How many
Kuminga.
of these do you have?
I have two more.
How many of these do you have?
This is my last one. You ready?
All right.
Referee, John Gobble.
Get that man a jersey. Get that man a jersey. I want an NBA All-Star jersey with his name on it. Cause my God.
I think it's Gobble, but I really
Nope, it's Gobble now.
Gobble now.
Gobble now.
Can't go back on. Anyway, send this to Gradey Dick and see if he'll trade jerseys with any of these other players.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Hopefully
I'm scared to say bang.
Hopefully we're here next week.
Bang bang.
Boom. John Gobble.
Oh, John Gobble's tough.